It's that time of the day where we take over your screen. So we'll say welcome one and welcome all to Jasiri. I know the past few days, as some people, I've seen Tolu's viral trending video. You know, my girl is all over the place like a superstar thing. That they may be wondering what Jasiri means. Well, let us re-educate you because we've been telling you over and over again. It is a Swahili word that means bold, brave, and courageous. Yes, it's also used to name children as well, but this particular name holds a significant place in African history and culture. Historically, it has often been given to individuals who displayed remarkable bravery, resilience, and fearlessness. It is also the embodiment of what takes place at this table. Yes, this table of 4 women. Yes, that is who we are.
Yes,
or maybe we should start an award. Jasiri Awards.
No, I think we'll get there. I think maybe on our 1-year anniversary, we should look at the women we want to...
That are
Jasiri women.
Women.
Yeah.
That will say this is a true Jasiri woman. We just give her, hand her that prestigious award for being resilient, fearless, bold, courageous.
Like me.
Is this part of
It's because Lola's hands in that direction. Please move your hand again.
No, in fact, the plaque fell to the ground and
so
broke.
when there was
Somebody that will not give
someone young is
yes.
me. But now you're being careful where to point your hand.
No, the plaque broke.
Double standard.
Normally, the plaque broke for someone that cannot even give us chips without us begging, groveling.
No.
That hands out biscuits.
No,
Please,
in fairness.
Let's go.
In fairness.
No, you guys are Cookie Monsters together.
In fairness, she shares.
Monsters.
She shares those.
Oh, you share.
I think we all share on this table. Don't we all share on this table?
Yes.
Right, we're all good at sharing. We're all good at sharing.
Yes, we share.
So blessings. You're good at sharing. You're good at sharing sheep.
All right, we're going to keep this moving because Lola's... Is it the hair?
No.
Is it the color of the hair?
It is.
No, Tolu, let's not talk about your color of hair.
But is that hair color not similar?
No, is it that now you want to be matching hair with clothes?
I don't understand.
Is that how rich Mr. Balogun is?
I woke up this morning, Cordy was like, Mommy, I'm not sure this goes. I said, Auntie, be quiet. It goes.
I don't know why
our
children don't really like colored hair. Maybe when they're young.
So I know how to categorize women on this table. She is the bougie person. You are the official hater. We are the nosy neighbors.
I'm so surprised that I'm the one being called bougie.
Yeah, but you are bougie.
I don't understand.
Why do you want to lie?
Did you ever doubt it?
Did you?
No, seriously, what would you call yourself?
Tolu make gravy in Nigeria.
Gravy!
Do you know I have never in my life made gravy at home?
What's
I only cook stew
Please,
and
Yoruba, what's
soups.
gravy first?
There's no Yoruba word for gravy.
Yeah. Is that brown, thick stuff that you put?
Gravy. What's the word?
Gravy in Yoruba.
See, gravy in Yoruba. Kì í jẹ gravy ní ìlú wa. Ṣùgbọ́n Tolu máa ń fi gravy jẹ àwọn nǹkan bíi potato, iṣu,
mashed potato,
bready,
smothered pork chops.
Ṣùgbọ́n smothered pork chops.
She says what? She's not what? She's not what?
Smothered.
She's not bougie.
I'm not bougie.
Smothered.
Please.
I'm very demure. I'm very
Lord.
classy. I'm very classy.
Those are synonymous with bougie.
Are they?
Yeah, it is actually.
Are we ever
Somebody that bakes brownies as if she's making amala.
Sister.
Nosy
neighbor.
Me, I cannot even bake a cake without burning it.
The chef, the king of, the queen of brownies.
Ladies, I want us to
Let's
move on.
not
move on.
Yes, but this will still be about domestic issues a little bit. All right, so I finally found someone who put into words something I strongly believe and have always said when it comes to raising children. And I think this will challenge a lot of people watching, particularly Nigerian and African parents. Now, Graceful Healing Journey on Instagram posted about the concept of children talking back. The post said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but talking back is how you have a healthy conversation. However, emotionally immature parents call this disrespect. It's a parent's responsibility to teach effective communication, which requires both sides to actively engage. But in authoritarian homes, any attempt by the child to voice their needs or feelings is seen as talking back, labeled as disrespect, and then punished. When you're raised by authoritarian parents, you aren't given a safe space to develop your voice or express your feelings. And then she continues on the post saying as well that this silencing teaches children to suppress their emotions out of fear. The control doesn't stop in childhood. Even as grown adults with their own lives and families, these unrealistic and unhealthy expectations continue. Emotionally immature parents will still expect full obedience, with no room for boundaries, opinions, or autonomy. Growing up silenced and dismissed can lead to struggles with people-pleasing, difficulty setting boundaries, or anger and defiance towards any authority figures. The lack of healthy communication skills makes it difficult to navigate any relationship.
I know a lot of people that would tell you that this is just your bougie perspective. And I know that our African parent just left this group chat.
They left the WhatsApp chat, but I think this is something we really need to talk about. I know Catherine and myself a few weeks ago, we were talking about this in terms of how we then raise people who are unable to stand up for themselves, who are always looking to somebody else to take the lead, to validate their opinions. And even in marriages, we have situations where spouses, be the husband or the wife, are always running back home for decisions to be taken for them. And that stems from how they were raised. When you shut children down consistently, they eventually feel that their voice doesn't matter and that they don't have a voice. I think some of the issues Nigeria itself is going through currently can be traced back to how we raise children.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to like me for that. I know that.
A lot of us have been scarred by that experience without knowing it. It's recently that these conversations are bringing it to the fore. Like, even I, for example, now I'm not saying that, I was, but again, there was that typical African where you can't ask questions. So now I'm going to learn, like I'm literally, so when they say learn and unlearn and relearn, it's a thing. Because again, there's a song that they said, the older I get, the more I realize my parents are not superhumans. They're just humans, right? So they don't exactly know everything. So you have to reassess what you were taught. It's recently I'm becoming very conscious of asking questions. Sometimes you'll just be like, let's just go there, and I'll stand up and I'll just calm down, like, why?
Why?
Sometimes I just ask why for the fun of it, not because, but at least to like reevaluate myself. So I think that a lot of people are broken in that sense, but they still do not have the idea. But then again, it's about balance.
It's about balance.
I don't know how I want to believe we women on this table are raising our children differently.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Go and find out who Asher is.
And we are accommodating all these because we always talk about evolution on this table.
Yes.
We are evolving. If you do not move with the times will move
away from
They'll move away with you, and they'll move you.
Yeah.
So everybody has, if we want to share how we grew up, our growing up experiences, it's not far from what Blessings has said.
Yes.
You cannot ask questions, punto. They're not born you well to ask the questions. But now we are raising children to be able to challenge the norms. Challenge me if you feel what I'm saying doesn't make sense. But come with your points. And if your points are strong enough, then I can defer. I'm inclined to listen to you. But now I don't know how many. I want to believe that out there a lot of women are making this an intentional thing
I think
raising their children.
The intentionality,
it can be a lot.
yes, the intentionality of this change comes from even the parent knowing. Because a lot of people in this generation, you might just be misguided to think that they think otherwise. So many of our learning is just fed to us.
Yes.
It's not like a lot of us know why. So it's ingrained in us that if you do not consciously, it's just like my son was telling me about, okay, I eat, then I will eat my protein till I'm done. Then my son would look at me and say, Mommy, why? What challenged me like a day ago? I'm like, Mommy, what is wrong with you? You own this entire plate. Why are you eating your rice? And I know that at the end of the day, you might even still leave this protein and ask me to take it to the kitchen. Is it that is it a poor mentality? I was so like, and I started explaining to them that when I was younger, that we were not taught that it was seen as greed for you to take your proteins first.
In fact,
so you even asked further that, so what do you not feed your children? I said then they would take the protein and keep, and when you're done, one piece of fish is shared amongst like 4 people. Because at that time they feel like if they feed you too much protein, it's greed. You become greedy. Not knowing that children need more protein than even we adults that are gorging on them, that may enter and give you belly fat and all that. So I say this to say that in this generation, parents themselves have to know that this is something they need to consciously I like this. It's unrelated, but I love it. Unconscious unconscious
Unconscious
coupling.
coupling or something,
Yeah,
yes.
I heard it somewhere. I said unconscious coupling. I'm like, there are terms in this life.
No,
Let's not even discuss it. It's not.
I know who it was. Okay.
It's not on this table. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people hide under the guise like they know. But you really need to ask yourself deep questions so that when your children do ask questions, you be gracious enough to explain. On a good day, when Murewa was challenging me at every point, I would feel offended, even though that little voice in me was like, I'm your mother, who are you to challenge me? But I stomached it. Yes, I stomached it.
You are? I'm your mother, and that's it. And the child,
God,
out of respect, the child defends.
So, but the question is, where do we draw the line? Because no matter how much life evolves, the definition of disrespect doesn't change.
Yes.
And a lot of children these days are uncouth. Like, you tell a child in the supermarket, come here, like, why? What would you do if I don't, mom? They will even put the mom for people to know that you are the mother. So you're
hard,
wondering, like, yes, you're trying
balance
to...
is
I
hard.
won't lie, there's some things that I said to my mom at the heat of the moment when I was young that I wish I could take back, because now I'm realizing why she did that. Your parents do not necessarily have to... Yes, I mean, they owe you some explanation, but there's some things that they don't need to explain to you because you may not even understand at that time. But you just open your mouth. Oh, God, there was a time I told my mom...
Just apologize now.
Mommy, I'm so sorry for saying you're not different from Patience Zoko in the movie. I didn't mean that. He was
ignorance, Mommy.
Ignorance. I told her she was so wicked that she... And it's because... Now I'm even...
You don't know better.
Let me add to blessings.
That.
Even growing up abroad, I told my parents, I told my dad one day, I said, I'm adopted. There's nothing you can tell me to make me believe that I'm not adopted, I was not switched at birth, because this woman cannot be my mother. And I'm the last of 4. My sisters were even telling me that I got the soft end.
Yes,
in my
so
life,
you did.
You're saying this mommy is soft now?
Yeah.
Honestly, because I used to write letters and sleep under the pillow and say, please send me back to my real parents. Send me back to my real parents.
All of us had that crazy moment where we actually think our parents are not really our mothers.
Yes.
And I didn't even get the bad end of the stick. My mother used to wait for my sister at midnight for them to... She would now tie a wrapper with another oja. You know that oja? She would tie it on a wrapper that she tied across her chest so that they can really get into fisticuffs. I'm like,
I remember the day
I
remember the day I almost set the house. Oh God! I almost set the house on fire. My father chased me. I entered into the corner of the bunk bed. It was my sisters and my mom that begged my... But you know, to wrap up this conversation quickly, I understand what Blessings is saying in terms of disrespect is disrespect.
Yes.
But I also think we need to remember as parents, we're not raising children who are us.
Yes.
We're raising children for a new world. We're raising children where they must be able to speak up and advocate for themselves. But if inside their homes, they're not allowed to speak up, to sometimes challenge authority and advocate for themselves, it is a learned behavior. It's a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it's not going to work when you need it. And so at the end of the day, we need to unlearn, relearn, and yes, teach our children to be respectful, but know that at times they need to be able to say why. No. I've apologized to my daughter. Last week, I told her mommy needs mommy time. She comes back an hour later. She says, Mom, I want to tell you something. I said, what? She says, I feel like when you tell me you need mommy time, you're just avoiding me. My heart broke. I had to sit down. I stopped everything I was doing. I said, no, it is not about you. It is about mommy. Mommy goes all day, and all day people are calling my name, asking for things. I want to come home and have 30 minutes where nobody is asking anything of me. So he spoke. She asked more questions about my work, what it takes, the responsibility, and I explained it. She said,
yes, okay, so imagine you never explained that.
She would just say, I think, will you get out?
How many mothers
can do that?
Left, right, and
but I need to tell mothers...
Come back and speak this English to
I need to tell mothers to take a chill pill. You know, some children are just advanced in their years. This thing that Coco is doing at this time, it took her a long time to be able to understand. It's not even about open up, because we've always had a close relationship, but sometimes when I say something, she would do this
to process
and she would push back, then she would go angrily away. But I would stand my ground. Then like 2 days after, she would come. I said, Mommy, do you know I gave that thing you said a careful thought? I think you have a point. Oh, okay, I'm so sorry I did this, I did that. Listen, I will not come to a good...
They will take us to a break. I think this conversation will come back on Friday for Hot Topics.
Okay, so we'll head for a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll shift our attention to a different conversation, the stories of defamation and cyberstalking. Our guest is a legal practitioner, Evan Sufeli, and that conversation kicks off right after the break, so stay with us.
Welcome back to Jasiri. Don't forget, you can be part of the conversation via our social media platform. We are at News Central TV. Today's conversation stems from some recent high-profile cases that involve the issue of defamation and cyberbullying. Defamation in particular has always been a delicate issue, balancing the right to free speech with protecting individuals' reputation. However, in the digital age where information spreads at lightning speed across various media platforms, the risk of defamatory statements being made and widely shared has increased dramatically. As we do on Jasiri, we want to provide all of us with a deeper understanding of these issues.
So today, let's delve into the law surrounding defamation, libel, slander, and cyberstalking in Nigeria, particularly in light of the high-profile cases like the defamation suit brought by Femi Falana. He is a renowned Nigerian lawyer against Very Dark Man, who describes himself as online police, not activist. We will explore how these laws are applied, their implications in the age of social media, and how individuals and organizations can protect themselves against such allegations. So let's also examine where the line is drawn between free speech and defamation, and how cyberstalking fits into this legal landscape. So our guest today is Evans Ufeli. He's a legal practitioner, a solicitor to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Mr. Ufeli, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know that a lot of people have followed closely the legal dispute between Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, his son, Rapper Falz, and Martins Vincent Osei. I didn't even know that was his name, Very Dark Man, or VDM. Now, on Tuesday, an Ikeja High Court ordered VDM to remove defamatory posts against both Falanas. Now, Justice Matthias Dawudu also ordered VDM to bring down the alleged defamatory video which he made on social media on the 24th of September 2024. The judge said, and I quote, "The defendant, his agent, and privies are hereby restrained from further releasing, publishing, or circulating any defamatory videos, comments about the applicant." So we'll start with your take on this, Mr. Ufeli. What do you think about the whole situation? This is the story surrounding Bobrisky.
Yes, the statement made by Very Dark Man against Falana SAN have been certified as defamation. When we made utterances, lawyers, when we made utterances on air that it was defamatory, the public came at us.
Absolutely.
And we're laughing because this society have a huge deposit of ignorance. And unfortunately,
Mr. Ufeli, that's like words of marble.
Unfortunately, the social media, what you call the social media, simply means just an electronics face me and face you. Just like we live in face me and face you apartment.
And behave that way too.
Almost all Nigerians have lived that way, except for few. Okay, and you know what it is when you live in a face me and face. It comes with a lot of squabbles. A lot of, it's more like a jungle.
Yeah.
You know, people do a lot, offend people and get away with it. Because everybody is poor to start with. So nobody is ready to move beyond. Now, when the social media came, and now brought all of us all of a sudden together again in that face me and face you. Look at the disparity between Very Dark Man and Falz, for example. It's a world of
difference.
You can't put it together. So now people go on to make assertion. You see, the truth is that even sarcasms and innuendos are defamatory. Now, defamation is established once you make a statement that disparages the other person and reduces his reputation in the eyes of the right-thinking members of society. It is defamation also when you are not the one making the statement, but you decide to publish it to a third party. Defamation is established if I say something very bad about somebody in my closet and keep it within myself, and you pick that recording and put it online, I am not the one who has defamed. You published it to a third party. You are the one who defamed. So because I heard him say,
why
go
did
and meet Bobrisky.
Exactly.
Go and meet Bobrisky. This is not the case. I just said what? Bobrisky told one person.
Yeah.
Okay? You took it and sent it to the public. So the defamation is you are the one who committed the act.
I'm sorry, is it watered down as it goes? What I mean is somebody sent that to VDM.
Yes.
Right? And he posted it. So who is defaming in this case? Is it VDM or the person that sent it?
It's VDM.
Because if we're saying it that way, what if another blog takes it from VDM and posts?
They are the ones publishing it.
VDM is the one that published it.
Okay.
Yes. Those who circulate it alongside him can be joined in the suit for defamation.
Wow.
Yeah, because they now made it far-reaching and all that. So we should be careful because, I mean, you don't come on internet and then begin to disparage people, even if those expressions are true. Though truth and fair comment, they are called defense under defamation. Defamation can either be slander or libel. Okay?
Published or spoken.
Yeah, published or spoken. And whatever it is in both sides, once it disparages anyone, reduces his reputation, and then put him on the baseline of stigma, people now start, you know, because if you look at the comment that followed VDM expression, when you go on Twitter, you saw when Faust, you know, when they published that letter, okay, some persons went on and they were saying that the husband of Bobrisky have spoken. So that is the seed of defamation growing. Okay, somebody sowed that seed, and that person must be held responsible. And what the court have done is to use an ex parte motion to stop him from publishing further and to bring down what he has published already.
Okay, so I want to pick up on something.
But the case is not ended. The case is ongoing.
Yes.
But we have not gotten to
the damages.
Yeah, the point where they will undertake full trial, and then the court will do what it ought to do by law. Okay, so this is just the preemptive part of it to forestall further injury. We call it continuous injury in law, where the action you put out there is still there, rolling, playing. It's continuous injury. So the court, through an ex parte motion, have now made an order, what we call an interlocutory order, okay, to first of all terminate the injury. So the injury does not keep running before you come back to the substantive suit. That's exactly what has happened. And then people went online, they said, just now.
So that's the ignorance part you're talking about. So please let me come in here because there's something you said when you were talking about what defamation is, and you were talking about truth and fair comments, being defenses for defamation. I think that's a point we also will look at further on. But in terms of the legal grounds that Falana's team will put forth to stand against what is published defamatory statements, what do we look at? So if somebody say, what you said about me is not true, where does the burden lie? Because somebody has gone ahead to publish statements, to either write or to publish, or at this point, post them. Who really has sort of the burden of proof in such cases?
Well, the burden of proof lies in the claimant. Okay, you say you were defamed. Okay, you will prove it to the court that you were defamed. Okay, and how do you prove it? You have the evidence, okay, of the publication, and you have the expressions made, which you tagged as defamation. The court will look at it, okay? Once you have established your case, when the defendant wants to open its case, the defendant will have to disprove, because the burden of proof will shift from the plaintiff to the defendant, who will now use evidence to also disprove what has been proven, okay? On the area of, if you don't have reputation, you cannot sue for defamation.
So does that mean
because
that
if nothing has been reduced, if it is the truth, and if it is a fair comment, you don't have local standard, to file for defamation, because what has been said is nothing but the truth. That's the defense.
But does that mean that it's only for people who have a reputation? Should we say that being able to prove a defamation case is only for public figures or people or celebrities or politicians?
No, celebrities. We don't litigate in Nigeria. If not, that's coming from the Falanas and all that, because they know their right and they can post it. We don't litigate, we leave you for God. Okay, and God is not interested.
Continue to do what they do.
God is not actually interested in our docility. You understand? And if you look at the internet space, the reason why the Cybercrime Act was enacted was because a focus in terms of electronic injury and battering, has moved from traditional media to the social media, where a lot of people converge. And they converge and do these things. Some people use it you can write a post now. Some people will come down and start calling you all kinds of names and all that. So every Nigerian who holds a social media page or handle or whatever should be ready for the days to come because it's going to be litigation all the way. And people will be dealt with.
Okay, please pause. We have to go for a timeout. I think we're getting somewhere, and I don't know. There's a saying that they say, he who has ears,
let him hear.
He who has what? Ears. Let him hear. We're going for a quick break. We'll be right back. You're still watching Jasiri, and our conversation today puts the spotlight on Nigeria's legal system when it comes to issues of defamation and cyberbullying and cyberstalking. Now, before the break, we're looking at defamation using the case of Femi Falana and his son Falana, a.k.a. Fowles, against Martins Vincent Oche, a.k.a. Very Dark Man, or VDM. Now, in Ikeja High Court has issued a judgment, not a judgment, it's a judgment part of the process. It's not ended in the matter. But there's also the cyber-stalking petition that Burna Boy brought against Speed Darlington over the controversial singer and content creator's comments, which had taunted Burna Boy and questioned his affiliations with Sean Diddy Combs, the embattled U.S. music mogul, who is facing multiple charges in a U.S. court at this point in time for multiple charges of sexual exploitation and other crimes. Our guest this morning, of course, is a legal practitioner and a solicitor to the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Evans Ufeli. Now, you were getting somewhere. You started, I'm going to say this, they're not going to like that very heavy statement you said when you came in, that a lot of what is happening is ignorance, our lack of understanding.
But the truth.
I'm not asking you to take it back, no. And I've also seen some of the comments that have come about because of the situation with the Falanas and VDM. And people have warned, there are some lone voices in the wilderness saying it's not as simple as you think. You do not come on social media, make some of the claims, very heavy claims that were made, and not expect to get a pushback. But then when we look at the situation of Burna Boy versus Speed Darlington, he's taking that through the Cyber Crimes Act and saying cyber stalking. Is there a distinction in the two cases that we need to take note of?
Well, there's no real distinction because one is digital.
Yes.
Okay, the other is traditional. If you're talking about the traditional media, defamation itself can either be digital defamation or just traditional media you publish, or you even send messages and all that. So cyber stalking itself, the process of litigating it is defamation.
Okay.
But cyber stalking is the act of disparaging the other person using the digital means to do that. Okay, that's what has happened in this case. And in the Speed Darlington's case, he actually came up and talked about the Grammy and how that he had oil in his hands, and he was asking Burna Boy how many oil did what do you call it now? Is it PDD or
PDD?
I keep changing the name and all that. So that was pure defamation because he made the utterance directly and called the name. And I mean, so
Sorry, I want to ask, because that place, you talked about sarcasm earlier. It seemed more implied than specific. Adults knew what the implication of his statements
he mentioned the name, he painted a picture, he did all that. See, even if you don't mention the name, if you want to be cheeky and all that, you don't mention the name, you come with sarcasm and all those innuendos and all that, and people are able to get
decipher
the meaning of what you are saying deducibly. Is defamation. Okay, you don't. The idea of defamation is that just so that our social life will not come to a standstill. Okay.
Yeah.
And there have been some exceptions to the general rule itself, but the main thing there is that once you disparage someone and a third party gets to hear about it, even if one person, is defamation. It's established. So people should be careful the way they talk to. Sometimes you think you are making people laugh, even the comedians. And then you think you go talk about people who have very serious ailments. You use them you mock them and make jest of them, reduce their reputation, and sometimes you get them into depression and the rest of that. They'll get back at you. It's because that is why every Nigerian should be able to get legal reasoning. Even if you are not a lawyer, buy the law books. It's written in English. Read them in simple English. You will get to understand what is wrong and right. And if you are a blogger or you get a lawyer, send materials to that lawyer to approve before you post. You will be sued. And the truth is that when you are sued and they'll slam you these heavy amounts of money, you have two options. One is to appeal it to where you want to appeal it to, and if it's if
Eventually
God help
appeal
you,
to God.
God help you. It is in some appeal. I've seen appeal where, you know, they call that slam maybe 2 billion, and you go on appeal, the appeal court increases it.
Yes.
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 That the court of first instance did not even do enough. You understand? So
Yes.
if at the end of the day the judgment stands, and you say you don't have
pay
money
more.
to pay, fine. The person will go back to court and file another action to get that judgment enforced. And you will be invited to court to come and show cause why you should not be committed to prison.
Since you can't
So
pay.
yes,
Since
in
you
the
can't
absence of
pay.
paying that money, you will do the prison term equivalent to that money. So whichever way, you will pay or you go to prison. So people should be careful. It's not, this society is growing.
Yes. Yes.
It's growing very fast, okay? And you don't, because you have problem with someone, or because sometimes, I mean, most of the defamation cases we've seen are cases of people who don't even know the adverse party in person. They just come up and start talking and all that. Even if those things were true, who made you the judge over that issue?
Yes.
That you come out and begin to make,
Publicly make
to what end?
So I'm
Okay?
glad that you even mentioned about blogging. And again, like you said, this is a society where people are becoming more aware of their rights.
Yes.
Like many people are even seeing it as a money-making scheme. Like, I'm just waiting for someone that will step on my toes, so I'll sue them. And the fact that you mentioned blogging, I'm sure people will be wondering why I'm so particular. It's because most times when I see some stories on blogs, I'm wondering, can they be sued for this? I'll give an example. If a celebrity, for example, posts on their story, I'm tired, I want to end it, it's not worth it. If a blog carries that story and says, this person is becoming suicidal, do we tag it defamation? Because the celebrity did not explicitly say that they want to commit suicide. But now, the blogs have carried it, everybody's saying, hey, this person wants
Or
to
even
keep-
having a
wants
mental
to
health
unalive-
crisis.
Yes, wants to unalive
You know,
himself.
in journalism,
Bloggers are not journalists, sir.
yeah, no, I know. They are soft sell. Okay, they are jungle people and all that. So, but I'm talking about in journalism now. You are told that when in doubt, leave out. That's the principle. Okay, but this left side of it, this soft sell bloggers and all that, are not trained in the act. Okay, in the practice. So they just do whatever they like.
They just run with it.
If you want to report a story, you don't write into a story what is not there. If the person says it's tired and this, you limit it at that, and what the person have said. When you make your own conclusions and you come up with your own, you will definitely defame the person, and it's not right. You can actually blog without and get views without necessarily or sensationalizing the issue to the point where you are not telling falsehood. Defamation has to do with falsehood. Falsehood, that's the principal word there. But if it is true, that is, you are on the exception. But once it is false, sometimes you are not even sure of what you're saying. You just put it there. Like Speed Darlington's own. He implied that Burna Boy had an affair with the American artist. And Burna Boy found it very disconcerting and had gone to take legal actions. That is what we should all
Within his
do.
rights.
Yes, we should take legal actions against people who are uncaught, people who are irresponsible and they're not ready to take responsibility for their actions. The next thing Nigerians will do, they will turn around and say, because
No, they-
Burna Boy
yeah,
has-
Barrister, I was about
They
to
called
ask.
him an oppressor. And I want to ask about the word, sorry, I apologize.
not an oppressor.
I want to ask about the word allegedly. A lot of people think that by putting allegedly, they're
Gets
covered.
away with it.
Are they covered?
They are not. They are not covered. You see, falsehood is falsehood. You can't use allegedly to cover whatever it is. I mean, if someone commits an offense and then is alleged to have committed an offense and you want to prosecute, okay, because he has not been convicted by a court, you use allegedly. But not when you are telling falsehood, then you are using allegedly there. It won't work. It won't work. So that is not what the word is meant for. It's from the legal angle, okay? Nigerians must be responsible.
Yeah.
That is the issue. You don't throw jabs at people, then you turn around and say they are oppressors and all
Yes.
that. No, you don't do that.
You know,
you don't do that because you'll be sued and you'll be dealt with.
You'll be dealt with.
You'll be dealt with.
You know, a lot of Nigerians do not even know the workings of the law or how efficacious it can be when you do take a matter to court and you follow through. Look at this Speed Darlington's matter now. Though he has been bailed, he's back home. But a lot of people, it's like the court of public opinion seems to be louder than the court of justice.
Yeah,
That
because
if you do not balance it out, it now becomes like, okay, this is a case of an oppressor and the oppressed.
no, the public can say whatever they want to say. I mean, they are pulled from the cesspit of ignorance. And you cannot use public opinion to change the law. The law will remain supreme above public opinion.
Yes.
And if you have committed an offense, many of the people you see in prison today who do a lot of issue on rape victims and all that, they got to know that if you rape someone in Nigeria, they got to know in prison that is life imprisonment as the penalty. They never knew. That attempt only is 14 years imprisonment. And the actual act itself is life imprisonment. They don't know. So when the court slammed 62 years, just like the Chrisland case, 62 years, and the court is being lenient. It's supposed to be life imprisonment. Okay? So, I mean, even the court have tried to reduce the burden of the convict or the defendant in most cases. But at the end of the day, an offense is an offense. Okay? Society is not supposed to run on the basis of war. People fighting one another because someone is a little bit higher or successful than you are, or whatever it is, you start to throw jabs. And in Nigeria, God help those who are privileged. Because the downtrodden feel that the reason they are downtrodden is because of the so they will do everything to make sure that they put a lot of abuse here and there. But they should be taken to court and let them have their day in court and face.
And I think it's important to know a lot of people that don't actually want to go to court. I can share a personal story. There's a newspaper that wrote something off about me, and I have lawyers in my family, and my brother-in-law sent a letter, and we did back and forth and everything, and I got a settlement.
Yes. Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
we do that a lot.
People don't want to go to court.
Court should be the last resort, really.
I think also
because they wrote a letter to Very Dark Man.
Absolutely.
They asked him to apologize. Then, at that time, he's supposed to apologize.
Yes.
His lawyer now wrote a letter and says it's not defamation and sent to another. I was wondering.
Now escalating.
I looked at the case. I called a colleague of mine. I said, a lawyer has written a letter. This is the content of the letter. He was laughing. I said, okay, let's watch and see what you got. I know this thing is defamation. You cannot take it. There's nothing lesser. It's clear. Okay? And now this is where we are. Okay? So here we have to face the music. I mean, he committed the act. He will face it. He will face it squarely because the other side, they gave him an opportunity.
And he didn't take
He blew it up, yes.
So I want to ask, do you think that this impetus is usually fueled by the society and the followings? Because when things like this happen, there's some people that have, that he's earned their respects. I'm talking about VDM now. And then you see some people coming out, oh, I'm a lawyer, I will defend you. This is not that. Don't worry, we'll fight. We're right beside you. And then there are this other group of people they're the You Too Pele movement. Like this guy, they've apologized to you too, sorry, accept it like that. So because of that, there's that impetus. No, I will not apologize because I've said what I want to say. What I'm fighting for the cause of the good of the people, and I have people backing me. Do you think that is what is fueling?
Even if you are fighting for the cause of the good of the people, you don't do that by defaming people.
Other people.
You don't do that. And those who are saying he can do that, the truth, a lawyer can defend anything. That's the truth.
Yes.
And if you give a lawyer time, he can demolish anything. Okay, but ultimately, the court will decide whether he truly have demolished anything. Okay, that the court that will decide that. So whatever it is, for or against. I mean, some persons came to the table of the social media with sentiments and said, but look now, he's doing work for society. He's recovering money.
That's not a defense.
That's not a defense.
All right, so I think this goes to show how ignorant we are in the country about the law and the massive expanse of the law in the country, and also to show that people don't like going to court. You prefer, I don't want wahala, I prefer to settle out of court. Usually it's like that. And because of that, we shortchange ourselves in the knowledge of the law. You don't have to be a lawyer to be aware of the things, of the legal terms. You don't have to be a lawyer. Just get the books. Be curious. Want to read. Want to learn. And you will learn. So in saying this, I think it's important we point out the controversies surrounding the Cybercrimes Act as amended. All right. So the Act is perceived to be a controversial law that grants the Nigerian government expansive authority to regulate perceived online crimes. Now, this legislation has been criticized by Amnesty International and other human rights groups for its potential to target media professionals, infringing upon their freedom of speech. According to critics, now, this Act provisions intended to address cyber crimes, cyber threats may inadvertently be used to stifle investigative journalism, silence dissenting voices, curtail freedom of expression in the digital space. Now, these concerns, do you think they're legit? Do you share them?
No, I don't. I don't. Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act, you know, gave a very expansive analysis, view about what the offense should be and what it should look like. If you use the digital space, phone, whatever, internet and all that, to create tension, okay, to create a situation where you disparage people or to threaten people or to use it to inflame situations or to turn it around, use it to do fake news, falsehood and all that, you understand? It's an offense. And the penalty is stated clearly there, okay? The areas it touch on are areas where people usually will exploit the internet to do evil and damage in society. And they want to get away with it. Okay?
Claiming
they want
freedom
to
of
get
speech.
There is no place where that law says that you don't have a right to protest. For example, there's no place where that law says that if you conduct yourself proper, that you will be guilty of any offense there. There's no place where the law says you should not use the internet. It didn't say you should not use the digital space. I don't want it. You don't use it to cause havoc on other people. The whole law, Section 24, that is what it's about. Go and read it. It's about humanity. That you don't use that space to do something untoward to the other person or that will affect the other person or injure the other person. That is exactly what it's saying. So there are cases where police have arrested, okay, on the basis of that Section 24. This is where Amnesty comes in.
Yeah.
Yes. Where the issue so alleged is thoroughly not a contravention to any of those provisions. And the police will go ahead to arrest and collect money and prosecute and witch hunt and malign people. That is where the Amnesty International came in and said, no, that this act is not for this purpose. Okay, the purpose is meant for. So the law enforcement agency that prosecutes will need to do it the right way. The act itself or the omission itself must be in consonance with what the law says and what the law forbids.
Okay.
You understand? Not when people do something otherwise and then you turn it around, tie it to the Cybercrime Act and say, okay, in the case of Burna Boy, for example, we saw the video.
So you're saying it's not one video. So with cyberstalking, he's even saying that he has been making multiple videos about Burna Boy for weeks. And he even made another video yesterday after he has been really saying he's bigger than Burna Boy. And so it seems like he continues to prove Burna Boy's case against him.
Yes, it's doing all that because the issue have not gotten to the point where the court will decide or where the prosecutors or whatever, whichever way they want to. Because, you see, cyber stalking, you can bring it under criminal prosecution. And you can also bring it under civil litigation. You understand? Which other one? Whichever one you can bring it in both. In the case of criminal litigation, it's a prison term that's a punishment, that's a penalty. In the case of civil litigation, it's damages.
Money.
But when you fail to also pay the damage, you still end up in prison. So whichever way you are going, the nature of the African society, we are very communal. we're very playful, we're very together. So our inception encouraged defamation, vulgar abuse, statements that are unto us. We do that a lot.
Unguarded, yeah.
You understand? Unguarded statements and all, because we are very communal. You can't do that in the West. You can't do that with a Caucasian. For example, a Caucasian that is your neighbor at the next door, don't know your name, doesn't care. You understand? So will you do that to him? So we're here.
You're mad to your white neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Please, unfortunately, time is going. I know we don't have a lot of it, but I think it's really interesting because these two cases are still very much on the front burner, and they're going to be lessons for lots of people.
Yes.
Regardless of what the sentiment you might feel online concerning, there's a law, and if someone chooses to go to the law to enforce their fundamental rights, they have every right. And so people have opinions on both sides. My last question to you is, what do you think the lessons here are, particularly for those who operate in the online space and those who think they have the freedom to say or post anything? I think it was Idi Amin. Was it Idi Amin that said something about you may have you have freedom of speech, but there's no guarantee of freedom after speech. We don't need to be saying that in a democracy. But in this situation, people need to think about what there's keyboard warriors. Just because you think you're anonymous, you want to be like the guy who said that Nathaniel Bassi should check if somebody's. We had
the paternity of
you just randomly say things. Then E-Money was he also had a blogger who said he wanted to post about E-Money supposedly having an affair
with the late Junior Pope's wife
because he wanted to become famous. What are the lessons in these cases we've been seeing?
Yes, those who are defamed, all of them, should try as much as possible to institute action against those who defame them.
You don't believe in leave it to God?
No, I don't believe in it. God is not interested in our indolence. Well, I'm a Christian, and if you, there was a time I thought that God was a wicked being when I read Leviticus. the fear, I read as a child and I was abused. So if God have that attribute, I don't think God is interested in our indolence. I don't think so. So people should go fight for their rights. If somebody defames you, deal with the person. Whilst I was in law school, before pre-law school and after law school, all those who made life difficult for me whilst I was in school, when I came out my first year, I filed 6 cases in one day.
Oh, wow!
Everybody. I didn't file it to win. I filed it because I have to get back to all of them one after the other.
Wow.
Anybody that defends you, go and file a matter against the person, serve the person and follow up and make sure the person is committed to prison.
Yes.
That is what it is.
They would learn.
So that this society, because our society thinks you can do anything you like and get away with it. Act anyhow, misbehave and get away with it.
And then people tell you
there's no way.
Yeah, they would even, you'll be surprised that there will be a mammoth crowd begging Berna not to leave speed balloting. It's just
we must sanitize the society. There's nothing like begging. I mean, we must sanitize the society and make it for civil people to live in.
To live in.
Yeah. All right, on that note.
Very interesting.
Okay, well, we have to go now. I will have to go get a law book because all these keyboard warriors, you think you can just say anything and get away with it, and then the YouTube Pele people will rally around you.
Yeah, YouTube Pele people. Yeah,
people exist.
They does it. I just made it up.
When he said we have to sanitize the
Yes.
We do. Thank you so
People have
much for
said.
joining us, and
My
thank you
pleasure.
for spotlighting this, taking your time to explain it as it should. Well, meet us again, make it a date with us tomorrow as we will be dissecting some of these issues for you. I'm sure a lot of people are still gobsmacked by what they've learned today. It's good. See you again tomorrow from the ladies and myself. Bye-bye.
Bye.